You are up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are back in session as the Board of Equalization, and our first item on the agenda this afternoon was Pocatello Hospital LLC. They had a conflict and could not make it, so we'll give the assessor the floor and tell us what you want to about this.
Okay. Jason Hooker for the assessor's office. This particular piece of property is the southernmost piece of the Portneuf campus, and the piece of land in question has 4 administrative offices and a maintenance shop. This is the second time, I believe, in 2 or 3 years that this particular company has appealed this on behalf of the hospital. And both times they sent us really good information. Unfortunately, we found both times that the data they used to arrive at their value was very different than the data that we feel would be appropriate to use. They applied a lot of additional depreciation and considered the buildings far older than they are, and they actually have pretty above average upkeep and maintenance. And so when we looked at everything, we could not find any reason to make any adjustment to the value, and we would recommend that the value be upheld.
So this lot, this particular parcel, is actually half of it's bare ground?
Yes, the majority of it is bare, undeveloped ground.
Okay. And so they were arguing that the, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings on there were overvalued?
Yes, and they were judging those buildings to have an effective age of 2009. No, I apologize. They were built in 2009. They were valuing them as if they were 20 years old and of average maintenance, and they're currently only 16 years old and of above average maintenance. And so we couldn't find any reason to apply the heavy level of depreciation that the tax rep had assigned to them.
Okay.
Well, one of the things I always look at is, I understand there's reason for depreciation, more for income purposes and everything else, which doesn't always translate to what the values that we're looking after. So I understand why they're doing it, but it doesn't translate for the purposes of our assessed value, in my opinion.
And that's a common thing that comes up in discussions with property owners when we take a look at the income approach, is when they're doing things like filing their taxes, they're able to take depreciation on there, but when we do that income approach, that's not an allowable expense.
Right.
So that is something that comes up pretty common.
Okay, any further questions?
No. With that, I'll make the motion that parcel RPRPCPP087107, we uphold the assessor's value.
Okay, we have a motion. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
K3, Pocatello is the next one. Pellet is not here, so assessor?
You said K3?
Yeah, parcel RPRPT. What's that?
I think that one was canceled.
Ernie?
I don't have it crossed off on mine.
Do you guys show it? Good, bad?
I believe we came to an agreement on there. Let me look real
And it
quick.
says here in the conclusion, recognition, subject property value, we are recommending a new adjusted value of $8,727,000 off the improvement.
Oh, well, all right. Let's go with that then.
Just for the records on parcel RPRPTCP 000801, that we adjust for the recommendation of the assessor's office to $8,727,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so then that would move us to Jacob Grant Forever Fund LLC, parcel RPRPPLT 002103.
I need to be sworn in first.
Oh, you haven't been sworn in
Haven't
yet?
been sworn in.
You snuck in.
I did.
All right, Nancy, will you do the honors?
Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, the appellant is not here, so the floor is yours.
Feel better.
You look better.
There were a couple of parcels with duplexes and fourplexes. We were able to find comparables that, show that these two parcel values fall right smack where they should be. And so I would ask that you uphold the values that the assessor has on those currently.
We've heard this a couple times on some of these commercial properties, that the sales has not increased more than 10 to 12% from the previous year. What would your response be to that?
Well, that's, there has been some difficulty in finding huge amounts of sales, of course, with this particular class of property, but there are enough for us to make sure that they do fall into the range that the state requires us to be. So,
And these are all duplexes in question here.
right, the first one, there's two duplexes on one parcel,
Okay.
and then, and I went ahead and I split it out in my comparables. So, I mean, they're exactly the same, they're sitting right next to each other on one parcel. That would be the one that ends in 2103.
Okay.
And so I basically worked up two comparable sheets and said, all right, instead of trying to compare two duplexes with one parcel that has one duplex on it. But yeah, the numbers are right there.
Okay.
So the other one is a fourplex. But yeah, it's our only issue is finding available sales, of course, and we used what we could.
So you valued the fourplex a little bit under the other
Right.
property.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that one, I mean, the fourplex is coming in just about right. Of course, the comparables that we're using are a little bit older, right? But if we had gone the other way and compared them to the newer fourplexes that are coming out, they're way higher than these. So we compared them to the ones that were more or less as close as we could.
Okay.
And this is the third BOE since '21.
Right.
I mean, and anytime you keep making adjustments and adjustments, it catches up sometime.
True. True. Okay, any further questions? I would entertain a motion then.
Mr. Chair, on parcel RPRPPLT002103 and RPRCHTS008900, I'd make a motion that we uphold the assessor value.
All right, we have a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next one would be Hux Holdings LLC. Multiple properties here.
No, they
Oh.
pulled on two of them. The only one that isn't still on the docket is 3604.
Okay, so we'll be discussing parcel RPRCBBA 003604. Assessor, the floor is yours.
On this particular one, I do believe we had some confusion back and forth on which ones had been canceled and which ones had not. But on this one, we did take a look at all comparable properties that were comparable to this particular building. And everything that we found is that the assessment had been equitable to other properties of a similar nature. And we would just ask that you uphold the value, the assessed value of $459,310.
Okay, any questions?
Not really.
Okay, hearing none, I'll move that on parcel RPRCBBA 003604, that we uphold the assessed value. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
With respect to the parcel in McCammon,
Uh-huh.
which was a house that was taken, they got rid of it at the 1st of April. So I just want to put it on the record that we did go out there and re-inspect, found out that the house does not exist and we have prorated the time for the first quarter. And then for 2026, we'll take that off.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's the one ending in 400.
That's one ending in 400.
And off of your worksheet,
Right.
it has a value of 101,848, which will
should
come
off
to
the
us in the assessor's recommendation.
Okay, just like we did this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay. I believe that is it for the 1 o'clock hour. We will